What is going on, my friends? So the Lin Kuei Tower is here, and it is an easy tower. I bet every single one of you is going to beat it. It is not difficult at all, and today we're going to talk about the tower, the equipment, the history about the tower, everything that you need to know about the Lin Kuei Tower. So let us begin with the fact that this is the second version of Lin Kuei Tower, because the original version was the second tower we ever had in mkmobile. And the second tower was, again, it wasn't like normal and fatal, it was just a regular Lin Kuei Tower. And ever since then we never got a fatal variation to Lin Kuei Tower. The interesting thing about the first version of the Lin Kuei Tower, which I believe is better, is the fact that the Lin Kuei Tower actually was giving you guaranteed epic, which was the Kuei Liang Scepter. So there was no chance between the epics, you only were going to get Kuei Liang Scepter, which is kind of okay and not okay. If it's okay because if you do this tower n number of times, you'll be able to max this piece out, which is incredible. It's a very good piece, Fusion 10. And the bad thing was that if you're free to play, you would never max or let's say even get some of the other epics to decent fusion, because the tower at Battle 200 will only drop the Kuei Liang Scepter. Now the current variation that we have, unfortunately, is variation number 2. And I say unfortunately because look at the rewards. You're going to get 3 Sub-Zeros or another diamond card. Now I don't know what is the percent chance to get either of those Sub-Zeros, but at the end of the day, unlike the other towers that give you, for instance, one of the newest characters and 2 of the oldest, something like this, we get 3 of the oldest characters in the game, especially when it comes to Circle Shadow Sub-Zero and Cold Sub-Zero that are super old. MK11 Sub-Zero was released in update 2.0, if I'm not mistaken, so that's again 3 or 4 years ago. So, and he's the youngest among the 3. So you can imagine that you're not going to get something super cutting edge when it comes to one of the newest characters released. And more or less that's it. This is a normal tower, guys, so every single one of you are going to beat it. And I want to just talk about the standard participation rewards. Or in other words, I want to go through all of the gear so I can tell you which, in my opinion, is the best gear in the Lin Kuei Tower. Now, the Lin Kuei Tower is a very weird tower when it comes to the gear, because it has very good epics, very good greens, and not really great rares, which isn't really the case most of the time. Usually the towers are going to have at least one very good rare. In the case of the Lin Kuei Tower, there isn't one. I mean, they're all okay, they're not horrible, but none of the rares is great. Anyways, let's start with the greens. The first green is the Kuei Liang Bracers. By the way, this is a very good piece if the enemy is in a position where you cannot break his block. For instance, Sandstorm or anything, you know, they block and you cannot break their block, which is horrible. Look at this, at Fusion 10. 20% chance to apply freeze when opponent blocks basic attack. So in a way, this is a very smart way to break their blocks by freezing them in the process. So the Kuei Liang Bracers, it is the only piece in the game that has Brutality set, and it is actually a green piece. And on top of everything, this effect that unlocks Fusion 10 is super useful. So if you can, make sure to max the Kuei Liang Bracers. It is a very useful piece of equipment. Sadly, before Fusion 10, it isn't really that great. The same applies to the Ice Bomb, which is one of the very best, if not generally the best green piece in the game. But again, sadly, it becomes super good at Fusion 10. 20% power generation boost, 100% chance to apply freeze to the active enemy at the start of the match when equipped on the starting character. Super good, gives you power generation and it freezes the starter. And you know, usually the enemy starters will have high resistance to the buffs, in the sense that they're going to resist stun or anything, but resistance to freeze isn't that common. So at the end of the day, I believe there's only one piece that gives resistance to freeze in the game. Everything else is like resistance to all the buffs. So what I'm saying is that it's most probably the enemy starter is going to get frozen, and you can take full advantage of that. The Frozen Mummy isn't really that great. Now, resistance to frostbite 100% is just okay, but it would be much better if it was given 100% resistance to freeze. Fortunately, it doesn't. So, I mean, if you have any issues with frostbite, you can always take that piece. It's not horrible, but it's super situational, unlike the other 2 pieces. I reckon the Kuei Liang Bracers and the Ice Bomb you can use more or less everywhere. It's going to add value to you, while the resistance to frostbite, situational. Let's go to the rare pieces, guys. The first one is the Ice Gloves, 40% basic attack damage boost, 50% chance to apply strength to the owner after freezing an opponent. That is just okay for Sub-Zero, I guess. And 50% opponent critical hit chance reduction. That piece is just average, or slightly above average, but nothing special, which is unfortunate. It's not horrible though, but it's nothing special. The Frost Axe, 50% basic attack and blockable chance. Don't you think that there is an epic in the crypt that gives you 50% unblockable chance? But only if there is no the boss on you. However, this rare piece gives you 50% basic attack unblockable chance no matter what. So I think this epic piece kind of sucks. Anyways, 80% basic attack damage boost against enemies affected by Frostbite, super good with Sub-Zero. 50% chance to apply Frostbite on enemy on special attack 1, again super good on Sub-Zero. Basically this is a very useful piece of gear, probably the best rare piece in this tower. Unfortunately it works only on Sub-Zero. And even on Sub-Zero I wouldn't say it's godlike, it's very good, but more or less that's it. There are better rares in the game. The Cryomancer armor, 40% chance to reflect 50% special attack damage when blocking. At the start of the match, apply ice armor for 25 seconds and 25% chance to reflect 25% basic attack damage when blocking. Now, you can use that piece to give it to the AI. Why to the AI? Because it is dumb enough to keep and block like this all the time. Sometimes the AI is driving me crazy. It's like the enemy characters at 1 HP, they have special 2 which is unblockable, and then stand and they block for like 10 seconds. It's absolutely driving me nuts. So, when you think of something that reflects damage on block or special attack, you think of giving it to the character and just use the AI because the AI blocks a lot. But generally speaking, this is just, again, an average rare piece. It isn't horrible, it isn't great. Out of the 3 effects, I only like the ice arm of 25 seconds. Alright, let's go to the epics, guys. In my opinion, this tower has one of the very best epics in the game. Literally every single one of the epics is good. The Kuei Liang Scepter gives you 1.5 bars of starting power. Crazy good. 100% little blow chance against enemies affected by freeze. You can one-shot bosses like this with Kuei Liang Scepter. It's crazy. And also, look at this. There is one more thing. 100% chance to apply bleed when hitting an opponent affected by freeze. The effect that you unlock at Fusion 10 isn't really great. What is great though is that you have 100% lethal blow chance against enemies affected by freeze. So as long as you have a character that delivers the entirety of the damage on 1 mini hit, you can do massive damage by using the Kuei Liang Scepter. Cory Blade, very underwhelming, a very underappreciated piece of gear, which in my opinion is super useful. 25% attack boost, great everywhere on any character. 100% chance to apply ice armor after defeating an opponent, super good. Every time an opponent defeats, an owner defeats an opponent, each surviving opponent gets 1 bar of their power drained. It's incredibly useful piece of gear. Give it to your main fighter and watch the enemy team getting destroyed. Unfortunately, it isn't really great at Fusion 0. It still adds value, but compared to the next item that I'm going to review, it isn't really that good. And the next item is the Frost Orb, probably the best piece out of the 4 at Fusion 0. Because look at this, you don't care about the reduced power cost, no special attacks. It is useful, but it's not really the thing that you want the most at Fusion 0. What you want the most is the second effect. Look at this. Once per fight, spawn an ice clone that will save the user from a knockout blow. There is a 50% chance the ice clone will explode and apply frostbite to the opponent. The chance of frostbite actually increases with each fusion, but even at Fusion 0, if you die, you're going to get saved by the ice clone. And for now, this particular piece makes sure that Death Mark cannot kill you. That's pretty cool. Look at this, immunity to frostbite and stun. Beautiful. Very good piece of gear, all the way from Fusion 0 back to Fusion 10. Frost Mask, 55% max health boost, that's okay. After defeating an opponent, apply Frostbite on their teammates for 15 seconds. Incredibly good, especially the Frost Mask together with the Cory Blade, so you power drain the entire enemy team and you make sure that they'll never ever get to another special attack because they're frostbitten on top. Super cool. And Sub-Zero, 100% chance to apply Frostbite on enemy team at the start of the match. That's very good, and I believe it works at Fusion 0. It gives you 50%, if I'm mistaken, I'm sorry. But the thing is, the Frost Mask is again very cool. And Sub-Zero doesn't have to be your starting character, so Sub-Zero can be in the back, and still there's a chance to apply Frostbite to the entire enemy team. So in a way, the Frost Mask is a very good piece of equipment. It isn't really the best, but it's still very cool. I mean, it gives some blockable attack chance, so you can block like this. Very good for the AI. It gives chance to apply Frostbite to the entire enemy team on the start of the game. Super useful, and it apply Frostbite the moment you kill somebody. So definitely one of the best pieces in the game, one of the best armors. Not really the best, but among, let's say, the top 10 best or something. Alright guys, so I hope you found this video useful. Please let me know how do you feel about this tower. I know a lot of you are disappointed. To be honest with you, I would expect to have the White Lotus Tower or the Cold War Tower or the Cold Tower, whatever they want to call it now. But we got the Lin Kuei Tower. It is what it is. Nothing we can do, I guess. And again, this tower has pretty decent equipment. Especially the best part about it is that it has two very useful green pieces, which I believe every single one of you can max, especially the ice bomb. Guys, the ice bomb is a lifesaver, so make sure, if not everything else, make sure to max out the ice bomb. And if you get one fusion of the frost orb, that's going to be all that you want to get out of this tower. See you next time, guys. Take care.